Well, let's take some time. We gathered here to meditate, so let's take some time to do that. And I'll ring the bell. I'll give a little bit of guided meditation options, and we can sit for a while, and we'll close it with a little loving kindness practice. So here comes the bell, just allowing the sound to come to your ears. And just taking a few long, deep breaths at first to sort of flush the system, letting a nice full inhale and a nice long exhale at first, just allowing new energy to flow in and old energy to flow out. And as we begin to collect ourselves and settle in what I like to call our noble position, it can be upright, or you can be somewhere else in the room that's comfortable, as long as you can hear my bell at the end. Sometimes it's lying down, but we want ourselves to feel as easeful as we can, yet staying alert. Sometimes that means opening our eyes a little and letting light in without grasping at what we're seeing or trying to name it, just allowing light to flow in if we feel tired as we're sitting. Sometimes it's nice to stand up or even do walking practice, slow walking practice around a little area where you are. But we take this time to gather and come into the senses, really, because our sense experiences are the way that we see the world. And so we may notice hearing, one of the ways that we experience our world. And without labeling it, really, just allowing hearing to come to the ears, the purity of sound coming to the ears. Sound is happening at the ear door. It may be close up or far away. And we might notice things at the touch door. Our eyes, eyelids touching each other. We may notice our lips touching each other. Our hands where they're resting. We can notice the touch point at our buttocks on the cushion. And at these places, we also might be aware of pressure or heat, warmth or coolness. The breath may feel rough or smooth or jagged. Any number of these sensations can be felt all through our bodies. But when we're aware of touch, It's a real solid place in our body to come be present in. So if we get lost in long trains of thought, which is what the mind likes to do, we don't judge ourselves for it. We just return for a while to the sitting place, or perhaps to our breath. We can always notice our breath at the nostrils, whether it's cool or warm. We can notice what happens at the diaphragm when we breathe, pressure at one point and letting go of the pressure at the other point. But we don't just tell ourselves the story of what we're feeling. We feel what we're feeling. We feel pressure at the diaphragm when it lifts. And we feel that release of pressure when the diaphragm lets go in the breath. And this brings us right to the present moment. So if we choose an object at first of the breath at the nostrils or the belly, or the seat at the cushion, or the hands touching, whatever place we might choose for a touch point, just choosing one of those options to let the attention be at, so that mindfulness can arise and be present and know with a neutrality what's happening. And sometimes we get distracted because we're aware maybe that there's tension throughout the body. We can take a moment of relaxing, just allowing a kind of stream of whatever you might feel it to be. It could be liquid, or it could be light, or it could be dense. Just allowing a sense of relaxation to flow from the top down, behind the eyes, relaxing around the face. Around the temples and at the tongue, the lips and the jaw. We might notice our shoulders, and we can make a soft note of just allowing them to relax and be wrapped around our rib cage like a cape of the night sky right now with the full moon. Wearing our cape around the heart of our full moon of our heart. Letting that relaxation flow down the spine and settle in the diaphragm, where we can let gravity naturally hold our bodies. Let our bones sit on top of each other. Grounding and anchoring in the body. And taking a moment to hold ourselves with kindness. The generosity that it takes to have ourselves come together, to sit on the cushion. It's not an easy thing. And we're drawn to it because we've been in this stream before with all of humanity that has awakened before us. It's not unfamiliar to us. So we join in with all the others that have gone before us, our Sangha, Sanghas larger than ours that have gathered for centuries to take some time to train the mind to see clearly what's happening. And we have gratitude for the teachings. The simplicity of the teachings, not easy, but simple and repetitive, which bring results that we can notice in the ways that our life changes around, understanding the teachings of constant change and not grasping, letting go. And we honor the enlightened ones, the Buddha, the current Buddha that we have the teachings from, Sakyamuni Buddha, and all the Buddhas that went before him for eons of time. All of those enlightened ones that can show us the way. And that's a part of how we take refuge in our own nature to awaken. And so we can sit with confidence and joy and upliftment in the mind, even when there's a lot going on that seems complicated, or sometimes when it seems like mindfulness isn't really working. We're just present. Awareness is natural. We have mindfulness at the fore. We can gently maintain a steady and continuous, relaxed effort, just enough to have the momentum of mindfulness stringing together moment after moment of our awareness in the present. It's not easy to have this kind of stillness when we're practicing in daily life. Sometimes it's there for a period of time, like we were talking about, and then we lose ourselves in activities, and then later we become aware again. And as long as we have the right attitude, and we keep noticing every time we get lost, we're doing just fine. We just need to be able to naturally know that what the mind is already doing naturally is being aware. And we can begin to have a sense that this is not a personal process. And that becomes more clear. That the I that we think about and work from so much is not in charge, even in meditation. The mind is doing its own work of being aware. The heart is open. Heart and mind is the same word in Pali. It's citta. So we're holding our heart and mind gently. Letting the body become still. But sometimes that's not possible when something comes up in the mind that's hard to deal with. Sometimes it's a good idea maybe to have some movement in the body, rocking forward and back or side to side. And we can remember to pay attention to the breath. If the mind is restless and busy, we may want to be really attentive to the breath. Is it a long in-breath or a short in-breath? And being with that. Is it a long out-breath or a short out-breath? And so we're developing stability of the mind. And with mindfulness, we can nurture the ability to step away a little bit from our reactions and not get caught in them. Gently having persistence, sustaining mindfulness and awareness. With whatever's happening in the mind and in the body, we may notice that it's pleasant or unpleasant, or we can't tell. It seems confusing. You can just notice that. That's another level of noting a feeling tone, a feeling of pleasant, unpleasant, or unknown. And so we're cultivating good qualities of the mind, like stability of the mind and awareness. Being in the present and seeing things clearly is what brings us peace. And if we clearly see how our suffering arises, how dissatisfaction arises because we grasp, cling at something, wanting something to be different, or we don't let go, we're already grasping and clinging. And there can be aversion that arises to whatever's happening. Or there could be something very pleasant happening and we could be clinging to that. So we have ways of noticing greed in the mind and aversion in the mind. And with mindfulness, we're just aware of those things. And awareness is present with wisdom so that we don't get attached. We can just see that this is a constantly changing state. It might not be changing as fast as we want it to, or maybe it's changing too quickly. We want to hang on to something pleasant. And mindfulness is there all along. Awareness is there all along. Saying, oh, look at that, grasping and clinging. Oh, what else is there? What's the attitude of the mind right now? And this isn't really a busy activity. We're just being quiet, relaxed, holding ourselves in kindness, and allowing what arises to be seen clearly, being present with it for however long it lasts, however long we're able to stay present with it. We may have busyness in the mind, or maybe we have tiredness in the mind. But we're just present. Without comparing things. Or when we do, we just notice, comparing mind. Sometimes we're sort of confused, we can't see very clearly, and we have sort of a deluded mind. But the antidote to this delusion is wisdom. And the byproduct of wisdom is happiness. Not the sensory happiness that we spend a lot of our time chasing after, but a genuine wisdom happiness that comes from insight and knowledge gained by being as aware as we can be. We can be still and allow stillness to arise. Questions and thoughts may come and go. But we don't get entangled with them. We try not to. We try to stay neutral with mindfulness and awareness, just seeing. Some things are pleasant, some things are unpleasant. And we try not to hold on to opposites, this or that. There's stillness for a certain amount of time, and then motion returns. And motion rolls into stillness again. We're present with the senses. We're present in our body, anchored in our body, our hearts and minds. Nurturing the training of not getting entangled in our world of thoughts and not getting lost in spaciousness either. We're stepping into that stream of belonging in the great lineage of human experiences, all those that have ever known liberation. That kind of yearning that we have to return to a remembrance of something that seems inseparable. Our original togetherness, this yearning arises because we remember that we are that. And we can enter liberation, we can enter freedom. Not because we haven't ever been there and we want to get there, but because we remember it and we return there, stepping into the stream. Mindfulness is present. Awareness arises with whatever our, our mindfulness touches on. Awareness arises with it and stays with it as long as we can. Maybe notices when it's gone, or we notice when we wake up in that moment. And when we have awareness, we have the opportunity to learn and allow the wisdom aspect of the mind to flourish. And wisdom is that sees clearly. With the addition of awareness, we can have confidence, faith, and motivation to keep exploring and moving into the unknown, uncharted regions of our minds with easefulness. And when conditions are ripe, insight will arise all on its own. Experiencing reality through the lens of insight can have a profound effect on our lives and practice and the way that we view the world. And when wisdom is acquired in this way, it can alter the way that we relate to things. We can often see the activities of the heart and mind with fresh eyes, bringing in the wisdom of the beginner's mind and curiosity, asking how we can be more in the moment. Rather than sort of assuming that the experience is always going to be the same. And this can be done without a lot of questioning or intellectualizing. It's just happening. The stream is flowing. We're just stepping into it. Taking another inside sweep of the body, behind the eyes, the face, the jaw. Allowing our attention to settle in the anchor of our body, the container of our breath. And holding ourselves kindly. Having appreciation for doing this sometimes difficult but very rewarding practice. Taking a few moments to envision a place that brings happiness to you. It might be right here, right now, sitting. It might have been someplace on your walk today, or a place in your mind that you like going, where you feel easeful and relaxed and whole. And we hold ourselves in that place that nurtures us. Letting our hearts and minds incline toward well-being. Kindness for ourselves, compassion for ourselves when things are difficult. Seeing ourselves happy and healthy, free from harm, wishing to be safe and protected. Holding ourselves gently in our heart space, in our groundedness in the seat of our chair or cushion. And allowing this kindness to include a close friend. Envisioning our friend happy and healthy. Letting our minds incline toward kindness to them. Wishing them to be happy and healthy, that they may take care of themselves happily. May they be free from harm and have compassion for themselves when things are challenging, just as we have compassion and wish for their freedom from their suffering. Whatever phrases or feeling works for you, of allowing this spaciousness of our hearts to also include a benefactor, a teacher, someone from whom we've derived great benefit, or a being. It could be an animal, a child, a teacher that just pops into your mind, or the first person that brought you to the Dhamma. Letting this thought of kindness that isn't linked with us getting anything in return, It opens our hearts to another person's happiness and to their sorrow as we have compassion for them. Inclining our hearts and minds toward allowing kindness and compassion to flow to our benefactor. This kindness practice is one of the 4 heavenly abodes, one of the 4 emotions that are, as Sister Ayakema says, the only emotions worth having. Kindness, compassion, joy, and equanimity. We're focusing mostly on kindness and compassion as we let this energy flow toward a neutral person. And it nurtures us, it comes around as we see a neutral person in our heart, mind, breath, body, containing this fullness, including a neutral person that we don't have an opinion about. We may have seen recently. Just as I wish to be happy, I know that you also wish to be happy. And having just enough energy and effort, but allowing it to be easeful, to flow perhaps to a difficult person or a difficult situation. Not something that turns your world upside down, but allow yourself to be protected enough by the kindness that we've given to ourselves and a friend and the benefactor and the neutral person to approach this difficulty or this difficult person by just touching upon it. You don't have to let them completely into your heart. You just can see them there in the waiting room at the doctor's office. That's one of the descriptions of working with a difficult person. They could be way out in the parking lot. They could be there in the waiting room. Maybe you let them into the treatment room. However you can best touch upon this difficult person of knowing, just as I wish to be happy, you also wish to be happy. Doing our best to allow kindness and compassion. And if that's not easy to do, just back away. Let them stay out in the parking lot. Touching gently from time to time with this kindness and compassion that's arisen. Including the thought of moments of equanimity and joy for this person or this situation. May there be moments of lightness, moments of joy. May there be equanimity when we do not fall into the extremes, the emotional extremes. And the heart has the capacity to hold all of this. We can hold this and more. We can allow this kindness in our cauldron, in our breath, in our body container of freedom, emptiness, and fullness all at the same time. May we allow this kindness to flow to other beings, to friends and to families, to our own families, to our neighbors. To each other in our circle. May it flow to those beings seen and unseen, known and unknown, those that are below the earth, below the waters, those that swim and crawl, walk, fly. May all beings everywhere know happiness and the causes of happiness, understanding the true nature of things, the constant arising and passing away, and seeing clearly. May all beings everywhere have happiness and the causes of happiness, be free from their suffering. Anicca vata sankara, upadavaya domino, upakitawa meruchanti, te samvapasamo sukho. All conditioned things are subject to impermanence, arise and pass away.